Can you tell us how did you start playing poker? What is the story behind the success and where did you begin it?
Kind of interesting how I got into poker. I searched online and there was this website called Ignition Casino. Found my little $50 profit I made, deposited it in, and lost it straight away. And like first thing done, maybe 10 minutes and the $50 was gone. And I was like, wow, that sucks. But I mean, I don't know what happened, but I was just kind of hooked from there. It was just like, I fell in love with the game. I saw there was this $400 bounty game. I'm like, great, let's go play it. So in the span of a week, I turned $400 into like 30K. And that was like an unbelievable amount of money for me at the time. And so that's how I got my first bankroll.
So people who are short in cash, quick tip, how to turn $400 into 30K. If you want to learn, click here.
Yeah, just put all your money into one tournament. I hope it goes well.
But you've been playing APT, APL, Centurion, different games. And all these games have, higher buy-in. Mm-hmm. What do you think, what sets you apart from those players? Because you've been getting consistent results in the last 2-3 years.
Every time someone tries a trick on this guy, he's seen it 1,000 times before. He knows how to respond to it. And that's kind of where I want to get at some point in my life.
Become a semi-pro or eventually becoming a pro. What would you recommend? What levels or what level of buy-ins they need to buy in? A potential poker play, how should they look at their journey? Do you have any advice for them?
I would say probably in terms of stakes, your average buy-in wants to be around
Today I've got a very special person with me. He's quietly becoming one of the most consistent and profitable player in the last 2-3 years. He has won more than $400,000 in Australia by playing live poker. His name is Nathanial Hutton. Today, he is going to discuss his mindset, his poker journey, his life outside poker world, and what he does to educate himself and to keep on winning. So let's dive into his mind, let's dive into his life and learn more and understand him better. But while we're doing so, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Also, I want to put a disclaimer. Poker should be played responsibly. You should only put money in the buy-ins you can afford to lose, and don't be irresponsible. If you're playing too much and you are afraid about it, then talk to the right organizations and find some support. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this all-in conversation.
Think dentist? Think Dentaglow.
So Nathaniel, thanks for coming in. We've been planning this podcast for some time, but finally it's happening. And I'm really excited to sit down with you and have this conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Like you said, we've been planning this for a little while, but haven't had a chance to make it happen. So yeah, really happy to be on here today. And I mean, before we get started, I just want to say what a great setup this is. I can see the investment you've put into the podcast. So I'm really impressed with what you've done. And yeah, looking forward to having a chat with you.
No, I really appreciate your feedback and thanks a lot. So let's talk poker. Everyone see you as a winner, but behind every success, there's so much hard work. So let's start from the beginning. Can you tell us how did you start playing poker? What is the story behind the success and where did you begin it?
Yeah, so as a quick introduction for anyone that might not know me, my name's Nathaniel. I go by Thani. I'm 26. I've been playing professionally for about 2 years, but I guess I've been playing the game of poker for about 6 years. Kind of interesting how I got into poker. So firstly, I used to always play card games and Monopoly and other board games with my family. So even from a young age, I was super competitive with my brothers. Got 2 of them, as well as, my parents as well. We'd play, we'd all try and beat each other, definitely winners and losers in our family games. So we never actually played poker though. My stepdad, who comes from England, he moved to Australia about 10 years ago and he started kind of playing pub games in the area, like local APL games, whatnot, low buy-ins, just very fun, very, casual, but super enjoyable. And so early 2019, I want to say maybe like March 2019, he went to host a home game at our house. It was like a little $20 sit and go, and he needed a couple of numbers to fill up the table. So he invited me and one of my brothers as well. We both weren't doing anything that night. So I was in my last year of university, and I mean, definitely couldn't really afford any meaningful stakes. So I'm pretty sure he agreed to stake me into the game, which was like a very small buy-in, like $20. If you win, we'll split the profits 50-50. So went to the game. I did a bit of research online about how you're supposed to play poker. And I'm like, all right, tight aggressive. That's what I'm supposed to do. And I had no idea what that meant. I just knew tight aggressive. So I was kind of, had no idea what I was doing, but I ended up having a really fun night, really enjoyed playing cards. And I think I won one of the sit and goes as well. So I made something like $50 after I split the profits, with my stepdad. Then very next day, I'm like, I really want to play some more poker. Where can I play poker? And I was searching how I can play online. This was in 2019. And so online poker had actually been banned for a couple of years. But there's still a couple of sites that hadn't been, fully banned. So I searched online, and there was this website called Ignition Casino. Found my little $50 profit I made, deposited it in, and lost it straight away. And like first thing done, maybe 10 minutes, and the $50 was gone. And I was like, wow, that sucks. But I mean, I don't know what happened, but I was just kind of hooked from there. It was just like, I fell in love with the game. So deposited another $50. Started playing a bit more. Started playing like $1 tournaments. Played my first pub game later that week, just like a little. Can't even remember the buy-in, but like a $10 game at South Adelaide Football Club. I'm from Adelaide originally, moved up to here in Brisbane maybe like 4 years ago. And yeah, just the grind started from there. So at first I was balancing a career. My career is actually in governance, risk and compliance consulting. So I did the corporate world, worked it for about 4 years, but I was playing poker every single day while I was playing. And I wasn't very good for a long time, maybe like 3 years. I was a pretty bad poker player. I thought I was good, but like looking back, I was terrible at the game. And then I guess as I was studying, improving, meeting new friends who were really good at the game, they were teaching me things. I was able to move up in stakes and start kind of exploring higher buy-ins, mostly online. I would have liked to play a bit more live poker at the time, but it's kind of hard managing a career and like, getting out to games in Sydney or Melbourne or Adelaide. So I was playing a little bit, grinding up a bit of a bankroll. And then, about 2 years ago, just had a couple personal things happen in my life, and it made me reflect. And I'm like, what do I want to be doing with my life? Yeah. And I was just loving poker so much. I was probably playing, 10 hours a day on average on top of a job, which is, a really tough thing to do. And I was making okay money. So I'm like, stuff it, let's give it a go. Let's try it for 6 months. So I put aside 6 months of living expenses. And it just went from there. I had a super hot run to start off my, career, if you will. And just been going since then. So.
No, fair enough. I mean, that's a long introduction.
Yeah.
You just
introduction. Yeah, that's my life story.
No, I can see your brain is working. It's going on and just, with the whole thing. I want to take a step back, actually. You said something very interesting. You said you had 2 siblings, 2 brother.
Yep.
Are you the youngest one or the middle one?
I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest one.
I'm actually a twin. I've got a brother who's 12 minutes younger, and I like to remind him of that. His name's Luke, and then our other brother is about a year younger. Yeah. So pretty close in age. We're all pretty close. Likes playing games, like being competitive. So.
No, well, you were talking about your family, like playing all the card games, but not poker. I had this flashback, in my own past when I was a very young kid. Like I would say probably 7 or 8 years old. I was into cards, as well. I was playing in different card games back in India, but obviously it wasn't poker. There was, local games we were playing, and I was so hooked. Every day after school, I wanted to play with my family, with my brother, sister, and they knew that I'm on the hook. So they will make me do all the things. Okay, bring me bread, make me an omelette, bring me a cup of tea, bring me a glass of water. So after 15, 20 minutes of doing whatever they want me to do, I was their sort of servant, and they're my masters. I will do everything, and I'm like, please play one game with me, one game with me.
We had something similar as well.
So I think while thinking, I think I was hooked on the cards, when I was a kid, and definitely it makes sense, that I was interested in playing poker when I came to Australia. So anyway, that was a flashback memory, just came to my mind.
They're fun memories.
But you mentioned, so you started with a pub poker game. Your father introduced you, to the game. But then you were playing exclusively online. When did you actually become a? Okay, even I want to take a step back. So you were playing in Adelaide. So they were changing your personal circumstances, and you decided, okay, I want to go to Brisbane, have a change of scenery. You came here. Were you playing live games by then, or were you playing only online?
I was playing the occasional live game, but I mean, the stakes were probably a bit higher for what I was wanting to play. So I started off playing very small, but kind of realized maybe after 9 months, a year, that pub poker wasn't really what I wanted to do. Like, it's fun, but I didn't find it too, stimulating intellectually. It's just kind of waiting for a good hand to shove, and the blinds get very large in the end. So
Now,
wasn't necessarily the best game.
Now, for the audience, the reason I'm asking this question is because people who don't know, Thani has earned more than $400,000 in live games, and that too in the last 2-3 years. So I want to dive deep how that change happened and what he did, so that there's a whole change in scenario, and he's being a consistent winner in the last few years. So you moved to Brisbane, and now you decided, okay, you're working, but you're not super excited about work, and you see this other passion which you're following, and you wanted to go in poker as a pro. You decided to save enough money so you can have 6 months, life expenses, which is a very smart move. And then you started playing. And at that time, you started playing live games, or a combination of both?
Yeah, so I'd started playing a few more live games when I moved to Brisbane. I've got a bit of a funny story about that. It's kind of how I spun up my first bankroll. So we moved from Adelaide to Brisbane at the end of 2021, and it was a pretty difficult move. Like, if you recall back to the time, middle of COVID, a lot of restrictions happening, different borders open and close every single day. So we ended up having some more expenses than we expected to move to Brisbane. Ended up moving to Fortitude Valley. So was in a nice apartment there, but we were stone broke. Me and my fiance, we had no money at all. I had a little bit of a bankroll, but it all got wiped out in the move. So I was playing a few local games, but I probably had about $400 spare money to my name. I hadn't started my new job yet. I'd changed jobs around this period. So I was due to start work, but I took a few weeks off. So I saw that this poker company was coming to Eaton's Hill, called APT, Australian Poker Tour. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but I had about $400, maybe $500 to my name. And I saw there was this $400 bounty game. I'm like, great, let's go play it. So being the degen I am, I put $400 of my $500 into the game. And I've just never run so good in my life. So I can't remember what happened, but I knocked out a bunch of people, ended up chopping heads up for the tournament. So that was for about 10 grand. And that was so up here in terms of my biggest ever scores. My biggest ever score before that might have been $2 grand. And I was like, I didn't even know what to do with so much money. I'm like, I've never seen this in my life. So I was like, great, played the rest of the series, maybe won a bit, lost a bit. I can't quite remember. But later that week, I decided let's deposit some money online and play some slightly bigger stakes. So I did that. And I played this tournament, which is about a $30 buy-in. So about $50 Australian. And it was this 5,000 runner tournament, and I ended up chopping that one heads up as well for 20K. So in the span of a week, I turned $400 into 30K, and that was an unbelievable amount of money for me at the time. And so that's how I got my first bankroll, kind of just grinding, very small stakes. And then just like that, I don't know what happened, but I just found a really good run, and just had a bankroll from there on. And so since then, that's what I've been using to play.
So people who are short on cash, quick tip, how to turn $400 into 30K. If you want to learn, click here.
Yeah, just put all your money into one tournament. I hope it goes well. That's my advice to anybody.
So basically, that was the single tournament that changed the direction of your life.
Absolutely.
I would say so.
100%.
But you've been playing APT, APL, Centurion, different games. And all these games have, higher buy-in, and serious poker players, pro players, they come and play. What do you think, what sets you apart from those players? Because you've been getting consistent results in the last 2-3 years. You're on the final table all the time. Either you're chopping or you're winning, but you're there. So in your mind, what sets you apart?
That's a good question. I mean, I guess first and foremost, before I said anything at all, I want to be the first to recognize how lucky you have to be to win a tournament. It doesn't matter whether you win 2 in 2 days or 2 a year. Anytime you win a tournament, have a deep run, you need a bit of luck, whether it's winning your all-ins or making really strong hands or putting really good bluffs through. But because of my prior online experience, I want to say I've played maybe 30 to 40,000 tournaments in my life, which for someone playing live might sound kind of incomprehensible because you might play 200 tournaments live a year. So I mean, for me, I feel like I've just got a lot of experience playing final tables and deep spots, and seeing different hands and kind of understanding what bet sizes or when you should bet, that type of thing. So, I mean, I don't know if I've got a huge edge over the field or anything like that, but for sure I've got a lot of experience where I'm not too worried about, the difference between coming first and third. Yeah, that, and I mean, just a lot of run good, like I said. You need a lot of luck to win any one tournament.
See, if you look at a winning equation, I think it will be a combination of few variables. No doubt, luck is a variable, but it's not the only variable. Volume, as you said, you have done a lot of volume. What I'm hearing is you're saying you've done a lot of volume that have given you exposure and experience how to handle different situations, how to handle the pressure, the sizing, and everything. But if you had to describe the one key difference between you and other professional players who are also doing the work, doing the hard yard, would you say volume is the key difference?
Yeah, I'd say volume's a pretty big factor. Like, even if you haven't always studied a spot in depth, it might be if you've played a final table and the same spot's come up 10 times, you're very likely to kind of be attuned to that spot and know how to respond differently. I remember this anecdote. I don't know if you know much about the online poker world, but there's this guy named Lena 9000 or 900. And he is just considered the goat of tournaments. The best, whether it's live or online, the best player to ever do it, the most studied in every spot. And someone asked another professional named Pads, well, how does he do it? How does he get results so consistently? And what Pad said, this is a big thing that kind of changed my mindset, was like, every time someone tries a trick on this guy, he's seen it 1,000 times before. He's seen the trick 1,000 times before. He knows how to respond to it. And that's in, not every single spot, but like in so many different spots. And that's kind of where I want to get at some point in my life, where it's like, I've seen every spot that can come up so many times that I feel like I'm going to make less mistakes. So just kind of consistency through volume and like, learning through your mistakes. I think that's the best way to get, better at poker very quickly.
Okay. So basically what I'm hearing is that there's a method in the madness. There's like for every stage, every set of scenarios, like you have seen all of them so many times that you can differentiate between like, a fair play or a move or over bluff or under bluff or value betting. So that gives you an edge, which makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, I guess it's just through experience, and the more you play, the more experience you'll pick up, and hopefully, less experienced players might make some mistakes or whatnot, and hopefully you can capitalize on them. That and just some short-term luck, I think is probably the two big factors for being really good at poker. I know Jonathan Little, if you've heard of him, he says 3 things you need to become a winning player: find games you can beat, play them lots, manage your bankroll. And if you can do all 3, I think it's a pretty good recipe for success for anybody.
Well, out of those 3 points, I want to talk to you about 2 definitely. I'm going to come to the bankroll because that's one of the main questions I want to ask you. And I'll come to the finding the games as well. But before that, I was talking to your peers in the industry and people who play with you. They specifically mentioned 2 things about you. One was you're very calm under pressure. But now, having this conversation, I can understand, again, it's coming back to that volume game, that because you have seen it so many times, you have practiced that situation so many times that you remain, in pressure.
For sure.
You remain calm under pressure.
For sure.
And it's like, playing cricket. Like, I play cricket on Sundays. So I've practiced a particular shot so many times. When the ball comes on the right line and length, I know what I'm going to do.
Exactly.
I'm going to hit it for 6 and it's going to be out of the park. So I think it's a similar thing with you because you have been in that situation you dealt with. That's how you can. So I've asked the question, I've answered it myself.
That's pretty much what I was going to say. So, pretend it's me. We can edit that post.
If you have to sum up your identity in one sentence or in one word, what would that be?
I don't think I take poker too seriously. I think a lot of people do, and it can often be to their detriment. So I have a lot of fun, like playing, like hanging out with my friends, and I think that's very good for poker in the end.
Okay, fair enough. So now let's sort of jump into the other side of you. Like I really want to dive, into your mind. And you said about finding the right games. So now because you're playing professionally for the last 2-3 years,
Sure.
I mean, this is your full-time gig. How do you define what is the right game for you as a professional? Because you have to make ends meet. It's not for fun. It's not for, just having a bad beat. Your livelihood depends upon it. Your family is counting on it. So how do you structure it? how do you identify the games you want to play, and how do you differentiate?
Yeah, so I mean, the first thing I would do is kind of take a look at my bankroll and know what games in terms of the buy-ins are comfortable for me to play. Like, a 2.5K I'm comfortable to play, but like a 50K buy-in tournament, probably not. So that'll take a bit of time. And then, yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, most of the live stops around Australia are pretty good. I like playing with the local players. And always enjoy traveling with my friends as well. So that's a big factor for me. But yeah, I guess, any game of a reasonable buy-in, I prefer kind of more of the high roller stuff, but I'm happy to play pretty much anything. But yeah, just kind of where I think my ROI or return on investment kind of will lead to a profitable series. More than happy to try and give it a go.
Okay. Do you have any advice for anyone who is wanted to become a semi-pro or eventually becoming a pro? What would you recommend? Like, what levels or what level of buy-ins they need to buy in? And then how should a person, a potential poker player, how should they look at their journey? Do you have any advice for them?
It's an interesting one. I mean, I kind of had a very sudden transition from, essentially recreational, even though I was probably putting in the effort of, a semi-professional, straight to being a professional. So, I mean, my journey was, one day the buy-ins don't matter that much. I've still got an income and whatnot. And then, literally the next day I was like that. And all right, every buy-in matters now. I would say probably in terms of stakes, your average buy-in wants to be around $1,000 at a minimum. It sounds kind of high, but like if you consider the amount of tournaments you can play live a year, you can't play 10 tables at once like you would online. So I'd say an average buy-in of around 1,000 doesn't mean every buy-in needs to be 1,000. Some are $400, some are 2.5K, some are 10K. But I'd say minimum that. And you need a pretty healthy ROI, because I guess if you consider the life of like a traveling professional, it's pretty expensive. For me, like I've got a mortgage, I've got bills at home, I've got commitments, so I'm happy to pay those. But when I want to go to like Townsville or Sydney or Melbourne, I've got to pay for flights, accommodation, food while I'm there, all these different expenses. So definitely not for the faint of heart, a job as a professional poker player. But if you love it, you've got the passion, you've got the mindset to play, absolutely. I think it's an amazing career if you're attuned to it.
No, I definitely agree, and especially because I think doesn't matter if it's a big game or smaller game, the grind is the same,
Absolutely.
The time is the same, and then if you win a big game, even if the luck has to be on your side, you rather have it in a big game, and and you get a better return in the end.
In my experience, it's better to be lucky in the big games.
I think in the bigger games, by bigger games, I mean the one with the bigger buy-in.
For sure.
I think they have a better structure. There's the blinds level are better, and it's run in a different way compared to smaller games. The second point I wanted to ask you, you spoke about bankroll, and that's what I heard from your peers, that if you want to talk to anyone about bankroll management, you need to talk to Thani. So I've been told you keep track of all your buy-ins, your ROI and everything. So for the audience, can you run your schedule, like your routine? How do you track it? What system do you use? What software do you use? And what are the key factors a person should be looking at in terms of bankroll management?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of exact softwares and stuff, I've actually got my own Excel spreadsheet, and it just kind of tracks all my results and calculates that into what available money there is after that. I was pretty lucky with my corporate job. You had to be pretty good at Excel, so I was able to develop those skills over a few years. So I've just made my own software from that. Nothing too fancy. It's not outrageous, but helps me track everything. And then, yeah, I guess just kind of keeping a good rule of thumb for what bankroll management skills you need. I would say it's a very open-ended question about what bankroll management means to different people. For example, if you're a recreational or a semi-professional player, you don't need a bankroll at all. You just need to play games that you're comfortable losing the money in. But if you're playing towards semi-professionally, maybe professionally, you probably want to keep stricter bankroll management rules, probably minimum 100 buy-ins. So risking no more than 1% of your bankroll, but I think it's also okay to shot take occasionally. I personally wouldn't shot take anything with less than 50 buy-ins. So no more than 2% of your bankroll under any circumstances, but usually no more than 1%.
Okay, no more than 1%. And the other thing you mentioned, what was the 50%? Sorry, can you?
Yeah, so no more than 2% of your bankroll under any circumstances.
For one
but
game, yeah.
but typically 1%,
1%.
At best. But I think there are certain games, like for example, I went to Las Vegas this year and I played the World Series of Poker main event.
Yeah.
That was a $10,000 buy-in. I don't have $1.5 million to my name to play that game, unfortunately, with a full roll. So what I did was sold a little bit of action to some friends.
Yeah.
But I also took, a pretty big shot in that. So I was happy to have more of myself on that game, knowing that the first prize is like 10, 12 million US dollars. It's the one time to give it a go and have a bit of a risk.
But do you actually look at more factors other than just having the percentage of your
Yep.
buy-in in the bankroll? So I understand, okay, you want to maybe spend 1% or 2% of your bankroll, for one particular game. But for example, like let's say you have a bad luck and you have a bad swing and you've been losing games one after another and it's been like 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a strategy which you have put in place? Okay, if I'm keep on losing, say 10 games, 20 games, I need to take a break for 1 month, find the leaks in my game, work on it for a month, then come back, or any other scenario which is part of your bankroll strategy?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it directly relates to a bankroll strategy, but if I'm having a bad swing, I think you should be studying all the time and trying to improve at your poker game, whether it's, whether you're winning or losing at the time. But yeah, I mean, if I'm not feeling it, if I'm not feeling good about how I'm playing, if I feel like I'm making mistakes, I'm more than happy to take a step back for a couple of weeks, play less poker, refresh the mindset and kind of, focus on fixing the leaks in my game. Mm-hmm. So I think for sure, just kind of a lot of self-reflection is really important in poker. When you're seeing money come in and you're seeing great results, it's so easy to kind of drink the Kool-Aid and like believe in your own hype, believe in your own success. But you're only as good as your last tournament. So, it's always important to kind of remain as humble as possible and always understand that you need to be improving.
Okay. My next question is a two-part question. When you were, doing the volume, when you were, playing as much as you can, what were you doing to actually improve your game? By that I mean you were reading books, you were watching videos, you were playing with the software, are you going with the technical play, or are you reading the body language? Like what preparation you did to go to the next level, and now you're at next level. Now how you're maintaining, how you're working on to get that extra 1%, 2% edge over other players who are doing the same work. So if you can answer this question.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a two-part question. Firstly, I mean, it's really important to kind of, always be trying to gain an edge, whether it's, based on the more theoretical side of poker, the math and the different strategies, or whether it's, kind of reading live tells and trying to get a read on other people. But when I was learning poker, I was absolutely obsessive about how much I played and doing the study behind the scenes. So I was probably playing an average of 30, 40 tournaments a day online. And then I was studying for a couple of hours each day after. So like to get to a certain level in poker, it just requires absolute obsession with the game. You need to be understanding, when you make mistakes, even if they're small ones. But even today, like recognizing when you make mistakes is so important. Like I remember the last Centurion I played was in Townsville, and I was pretty lucky. I was fortunate enough to win the tournament. But I remember I made a pretty big blunder on the final table. And so we were blind on blind, and I was against a friend named Josh Foster. If you've heard of him, he's a very, very good player from Melbourne, definitely one of the best in the country. But I looked down at King Queen and about 17 big blinds, and I just open jammed it blind on blind. So I went all in. But looking back on it, as soon as I put the chips out, I'm like, oh, I've made a mistake here. This wasn't the play I should have done. And unfortunately, I got punished with that, and he had Ace King. I was lucky enough to win the all in and suck out on him. But yeah, like just being aware of the mistakes you're making all the time, even when you're winning, I think that's where you get the edge.
I still want to dive deep into this. You said you were doing, like, you were playing a lot of games, you were playing 30, 40 games, and then you were studying 3 to 4 hours. I understand you are doing the volume, but to be able to process all that situation play, all those mistakes, all those learnings, it still takes time. To actually process that. And I think it's not an easy task.
No, it's not.
So if you can actually break it down, imagine I'm in a year 7, year 6, a real small kid. How would you explain to a person of a young age what you were doing? And when you were studying for 3, 4 hours, what exact things you were doing to make those lessons stick in your mind, so you make a plan and strategy out of it, and you don't make the same mistakes again?
Yeah, good question. So firstly, like I said, just playing over time, like with bowling and cricket or batting, if you do it enough times, you will just improve by your own, tools. Um, when I was studying very, very hard, when I was trying to improve, I was watching a lot of YouTube content just from players that I thought were pretty good, seeing how they approach the game, seeing how they think about the game. I was also spending a lot of time on Twitch or YouTube Live watching streamers play. A lot of them are quite good at poker, and just seeing how they approach the same games I was playing. Like if I'm playing a game on GG Poker, for example, and I can see some streamers are playing that as well. They get the same cards I do, they get the same luck, in the long run. But like, how are they actually approaching poker? How are they thinking about it differently? So I think seeing better players than myself, seeing how they approach the game helped me a lot. But then I was doing my own study as well. So especially talking about online, having a pretty good understanding of GTO or game theory optimal is a pretty important concept. So I was spending a lot of time kind of looking up different hands that I played, seeing if I was making mistakes, seeing if I was kind of missing certain, raises or certain folds, if I was doing, things incorrectly. It was something that took me a long time and a lot of effort, but I guess today I'm pretty happy with how things have turned out. So pretty good investment of time, but it took thousands of hours. It's not an overnight fix.
Alrighty. So let's say you're in the early stage, now you're advanced stage. You're playing with the cream of the cream, and we know the effort which it takes, is almost the same when you go from 0 to 90% and from 90 to 98% because no one is 100. So that takes equal amount of time. So what do you do now to have that extra edge, compared to your peers and against the people you're competing with?
Yeah, great question. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I'm a little bit lazier than I should be. I should be studying a bit more than I do. I still study a good amount, but compared to a couple of years ago, it's a lot less. I think once you're at a certain point, volume becomes more important than study. But with that being said, self-improvement, whether it's in or outside of poker, is something you need to be, doing constantly. So I still spend a good amount of time on websites like GTO Wizard, kind of learning about the concepts of why you want to raise certain hands, or why you want to fold, why you want to call. Deep diving into that, and then I guess as a professional, I'm pretty lucky to have a good network of friends as well. Like I know the past 2 poker episodes you've done with some great friends of mine, Adam and Lachlan Crilly.
Yep.
So those are great friends I can bounce ideas off. They do the same, and if you're talking with friends who are very talented in poker, you're very likely to improve as well.
Yeah, it's like a group study. You're comparing
Absolutely.
notes with your peers. Based on your own experience, in the situations you have been and given the volume which you have done, in football or soccer or NBA, the coaches, they have their own gameplay. They create their strategies or a gameplay. If this happens, I'm going to have this, pattern A, or I'm going to have pattern B. Do you, professionals like yourself, do you guys have a playbook which you deploy during the session?
Not really like a playbook. Like I won't write certain ideas down and be like, I'm going to do this. It's poker's not a very black and white game like basketball or tennis or something like that. Obviously there's a lot of skill in those games, and I'm definitely not a basketball player, so won't talk about that. But poker's such a game where so many different things can happen. Like, and someone can do something completely unexpected and it throws you for 6. So I would say having a great poker mindset and adaptability to different spots, that's more important than having a playbook per se.
Okay, so basically you're saying you have the experience, you have the volume, you see how the cards play, and then you play the field, and you take it as it comes.
Yeah, for sure. Like you can use your poker strategy to kind of develop intuition almost. And so the more you see the spots, the more you study the spots, whether it's by playing, whether it's by talking with other friends, you see spots come up again and again and again. And they might not be the exact same spots, but if they're similar enough, you can kind of take the themes from like how you're supposed to approach hands. And I think that can make you a very good player.
What is one common mistake which you see live players making over and over again?
Only one? I would say being scared to go for value would be a massive one. I see players check back top pair with a good kicker all the time because they're scared of getting check raised, or someone calling with a better hand, and that might not matter for one hand. Sometimes you've got the best hand, sometimes you don't. But like in the long run, I think it costs a lot of players a good win rate where they're scared to go for thin value, and they're scared to bluff as well. You need to be very fearless when it comes to poker.
I couldn't agree more. In fact, I made 2 reels last week, and one was about this specific point, creating value for your hands. I'm guilty of doing it myself.
We all are.
And
We all are.
I've learned from a mistake.
Yep.
And I think it's very important to create value in each round of betting, whether you win or lose, whether the other person hit his cooler card or not. It doesn't matter. You have to play the right game, which is required
For
by
sure.
the game itself. And I totally agree with you. Now, looking at yourself right now, if you can talk to yourself who is 5 years younger, what advice would you give to your younger one?
Gee, that's a great question. I mean, I kind of view life like you're gonna make so many mistakes in your life anyway, whether it's in poker, whether it's in real life anyway. It's what's important is to learn from your mistakes. So I don't have any big regrets where I do something completely different, but just in terms of poker, just telling myself to be braver in spots, go for thin value, go for bluffs. Put more work in. Probably just with poker, I probably would have benefited from a coach because I was so passionate about poker, and I was an okay player, but someone where I could have just spoken to about ideas and bounce off them, that would have really benefited me. But no, I mean, I'm pretty happy with how my past 5 years have gone. Done some things I'm pretty proud of, so I wouldn't be too many major changes I'd make.
Fair enough. Well, with the coaching, there's a lot of coaching culture in America and Europe, but not so much in Australia. What's your take on it?
Oh, I don't know. And I mean, I've been critical of other people coaching in Australia as well, because, from my perspective, you shouldn't be coaching unless you're already an elite player, because you're going to have many mistakes in your own game. I think it's developing more and more. I'm seeing more coaches kind of come out for poker and, other things in the past 6 months, 12 months. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think one big thing is that when you see people playing really high stakes in Europe or America, they're playing $10,000, $20,000, $100,000 buy-ins.
Yeah.
It's easy to go, well, that guy's winning playing $100,000 buy-in. I need to be playing against him. But we just don't have that, availability of those stakes here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure we've got some very talented players in the local community that would play those big games if they're available, but it's just not possible in Australia. So I think if you're a recreational player or you're someone that's wanting to improve, you look at someone with, $1 million in earnings in Australia, which is pretty good, versus like 25 million in America. Who are you going to go to? It's the American guys. So it's pretty interesting that sometimes players or recreationals, just poker enthusiasts, they don't always identify that that their Hendon mob is bigger because they've been playing bigger games. Doesn't necessarily mean they're the most winning player possible. So I don't know, if someone's looking for a coach, find someone that's winning the games, in the local environment, that are doing really well, and you'll get some great advice about how to beat the local games.
I think that's one way to shorten your learning curve, and you can improve your game. But definitely, I think I see the same thing. The coaching market is increasing and developing in Australia as we speak. Well, I love your mindset. I mean, there are a lot of golden nuggets, which we talk about, but obviously, you have done the volume, you have discipline, you have pattern recognition. But now I want to talk about your life outside poker. We all play, the cards, we love, that life, that part of our life. But what do you do when you're not playing poker?
Not a lot. And I'll say that very quickly, not a lot. I live a pretty mundane life outside of poker. Poker is just a very exhausting, all-consuming activity. So when I'm not, I'm engaged to my beautiful fiance named Cassie. We have 2 animals as well, so usually I'm just at home spending time with them. I still play quite a bit of poker at home as well. But other than that, the standard stuff people like to do. I like to play, video games. I'm playing a lot of tennis at the moment with some friends. That's pretty fun. What else? Just chilling out, really.
So how do you balance the burnout? Because, we all love things which we love, but at a certain point, there's a burnout. We've been, even if you're winning, it's too much winning is also it's like too much.
It's a good problem to have, though, isn't it? It's too much winning.
But do you have those burnout moments? And if you do, then what do you do to rectify it?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's prone to it. If you do something for 12 hours a day every single day for a month, you're going to get tired of it eventually. I'm not ashamed of taking a day or a week here and there if I just feel like I need to refresh. And yeah, I guess just being self-aware about your own burnout. Some people don't realize it until they've played a series and they've lost $10,000, and it's like, well, maybe just don't turn up to the series if you weren't feeling it from the start. So just, I guess, identifying your own energy levels, how ready you are to grind. If you can do that, that'll be so much easier to manage rather than experiencing burnout all the time.
No, definitely. Tell me about your one non-poker habit that has the biggest impact on your poker life.
Need to have a think about that one. I think I have a very obsessive personality. So, poker isn't the first hobby I've ever had that I've been super into. I've been into other things before, but like just the fact that I can think about a game all day and not get tired of it, I think for sure that really helps me in poker. Just I can be relentlessly committed to something.
Fair enough. That's a good thing, for your girlfriend.
Yeah, I mean, she's incredible with it. It wouldn't be easier to support someone playing a poker lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I meant, sorry to cut you, but I meant you do one thing, then you're really going, deep into that. And I'm assuming that's going to be in a relationship too. So
yeah, for sure. Well, hopefully she's happy with me as is. If not, we've got some problems. But yeah, she's incredibly supportive too. So I couldn't be more thankful for her.
While we're talking about family and friends, what do you hear from them? Do you hear like, are you gambling for money, or do you understand, where you're coming from, what you're actually doing, and especially now when you're playing professionally?
Well, it's pretty interesting because when you're talking to family, like they don't always understand the gambling world. And so when I was first playing, maybe like 2019, 2020, I was starting to play a couple cash games in Adelaide, and my mum was like, "Oh, $1,000, be careful. You don't want to risk that." And I mean, I show them all the success, and they know sometimes about the hardships too. But like, I try not to worry them too much. I don't think they really want to know that I've lost $100,000 in 2 months. So like overall, I try and keep the bad things kind of hidden from them. It was pretty interesting when I was looking at going full time. I guess I had a bit more of a unique situation because I didn't live in Adelaide anymore. I was in Brisbane. I had a mortgage. I had everything pretty much set up for life, where like even if poker didn't go well, it wasn't going to be the end of the world. I've got a uni degree. I've got experience in the industry. So, even if I took 6 months off and had a really bad 6 months and just went back to work, I don't think it would have been life-changing. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just natural for family to worry when you say you're going to gamble for a living.
No, I totally get that. And I think you said it rightly. You had the basic building blocks of your life, already set and put in place. So if it doesn't work out, it's fine. But you took a chance, and that changed the direction of your life. A lot of people like who are listening to this podcast, my suggestion to you is that there's one thing in life which you will regret the most is the things which you haven't tried, the experiences you wanted to have and you didn't go for it. So as Thani has done, he put his building blocks in place and then he went for what he wanted to do. So my recommendation is do what you want to do so that you don't have that regret at the end of your life. I'm not saying stop everything and go and play poker. It can be anything in your life. If you want to be a singer, you want to be a dancer, you want to be an athlete, you want to be a politician, you want to be a businessman, whatever you want to do, go for it. If you're going to fail in it, you will learn from those experiences. If you're going to win, you're going to be a winner and you will be acknowledged. So that's a very good point you made, Thani, there. While we're in the same topic, what is the one biggest misconception people or society generally have about poker, especially professional poker players?
One. I think a lot of people see the end result and assume that, you've just gotten very lucky and like you've had a lot of success because of luck. They just see the gambling and they might compare it to like blackjack or baccarat where, it is just pure luck. But a lot of work does go behind the scenes. I like to think I don't go flaunting around the poker room about how I'm, the greatest player on earth or anything like that. That, for sure, I put so much work into my game over time, and like people don't always see that when I win a tournament. They might just see an all-in I won or a flip I won and be like, well, that's just a lot of luck. But like there is a lot of work that goes into it. I feel like creating your own luck's a big concept that I think about in life, and I've for sure been lucky, but I like to think at least a part of it I've contributed to as well. So
I think you made a very fair point. As a matter of fact, there's a movie I would like to recommend to you and to the people listening. It's an Indian movie and it's called Luck by Chance. So it's about creating your own luck and you're putting effort into it, and then you become lucky. So again, it's there's no magic. There's no wonder why you keep on seeing the same familiar faces again and again on the final table. There's a reason for it.
Yeah,
Because
for sure.
they do the grinding, they do the hard work, they learn, they improve, they grind, and they come back again. So luck is a factor of it, as we discussed, but it's not the only factor. If anything, it's only 10 or 15%.
Yeah.
Well, that was great about, talking about your life outside poker. And now let's go to the next segment, talking about the future. You've been crushing the Australian poker scene. What's on the horizon? Are you looking for WSOP, EPT, WPT? What's your next step?
Well, I went to WSOP this year in Las Vegas, and I had a really good time. It wasn't the most successful trip in terms of profit loss, but it's so interesting going from being in Australia where you're playing the highest stakes basically you can, and then you go to America and like my bigger buy-ins is kind of like low stakes in America. Maybe like a 2.5K buy-in is pretty big in Australia, which is about $1,500. But that was just a normal tournament in Vegas. Everybody was playing those, and then you see the high rollers are like 10Ks, 25Ks, 100Ks. So, I'd love to go play higher stakes more consistently, whether that's EPT, World Series of Poker, Triton, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to expand in that way. But really, I think my measure of success will be longevity. So, am I still around in 2, 3, 4, 5 years playing poker? I think, even in my short time playing poker, I've seen so many people come and go, and they've had great results for 6 months, a year, 2 years, but then they kind of disappear. And, it's a bit taboo, but we know why they've gone. They've had losses and can't sustain it, because I think if someone was winning forever, they'd just play forever. So my big question is, can I still maintain a really good poker game in 5 years? And if I can, I'll consider myself successful in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe if I'm done with poker by this time next year, maybe I just had a lucky 2 years. I'll be very thankful for those 2 years, but time will tell.
Okay, so you wanna prove to yourself and to the world that you're a host for long race, and you wanna keep on running.
Yeah, in for the long haul, hopefully.
So what motivates you? Is it the money? Is it the trophy? Is it the glory? Or is it something else?
So yeah, the money's super important. I'm a professional poker player. I make no secrets about that. I'm obviously playing for profit, but the money doesn't define me or what I do. Regardless of what's in my bank account, I feel like I'm the same person.
Mm-hmm.
I just love the poker lifestyle. I love to compete. I love to play the game. For me, I used to work a 9-to-5 office job for a few years. Enjoyed it, but I didn't like waking up in the morning, for example. I'm not much of a morning guy, so having that freedom in my life is something super important to me. And I'm not the most materialistic guy. I'm not going to be driving Ferraris and Lambos around, but if I can wake up and know that I'm free to do whatever I feel like doing, I can't think of any way I could be more successful.
Yeah, so you're a FIRE guy, financially independent, retire early.
Yeah, absolutely. If I can be like that, I'll consider myself successful in life. If I don't need to wake up and work, I'm super happy with the way things are going.
No, fair enough. So if poker is gone from your life tomorrow, what would you be doing?
Gee, it'd be a bad night if poker was gone by tomorrow morning. I don't really know. I've never really considered myself, wow, I'm this professional poker player. I'm a corporate consultant, worked in that for 4 years. I've got no doubt when I move to a later stage in life, I've got a family, kids and whatnot. I'll be going back to that and probably enjoying it, knowing that I had a great few years playing poker. I don't see myself playing poker for the rest of my life. It's a very difficult game, even though you see the successes, the losses can hit very hard. But hopefully at some point I'm financially independent of needing to do anything, and then I can pursue what I'm passionate about and whatever I'm passionate about in 15 years.
Okay, while we're talking about that, actually, the winnings which you have, like, are you reinvesting in the poker game, or are you actually taking that money and setting yourself up to be financially independent? Like, for example, when I was talking to Adam, he mentioned that he used a portion of his money to actually build his house,
Yep.
which is a smart move. So are you sort of doing something similar, or you're reinvesting everything back in poker?
Yeah, so just because you have a bankroll doesn't mean you need all the money in cash or sitting in your bank account. I reinvest my money, whether that's investing in things like equities and ETFs. Own my house as well, so my plan is to pay that down someday and have the balance be zero.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully in the near future rather than in the distant future. I think someday maybe I'd like to open a business of some sort, whether that's got involvement with poker or whether it's completely out of it. I think I'm very entrepreneurial, as a kind of spirit. So something where I can kind of motivate myself to get up and grind every day, whether it's poker, whether it's a business. That's what I see myself doing.
Sounds great. Alrighty. What is your proudest moment so far in poker and outside poker?
Wow, that's a great question. I mean, inside of poker, I've had a couple of pretty big scores. Last year, I had a mystery bounty score at the Star Gold Coast. Pulled a few bounties, but overall the score was 120K. So I was pretty proud of that, even though a lot of it was luck. Even on the weekend, I had a pretty good score at another mystery bounty. There's a bit of a story of me going absolutely crazy, screaming at my computer. Just pulled a bounty for 75K USD, so I was pretty proud of that too. But outside of poker, I don't know if there's anything I'm so insanely proud of. I like to think, I'm a funny guy to be around, someone that's enjoyable to spend time with. So, if I feel like I'm a good person and other people agree, that's something to be very proud of, I think.
No, that sounds good. I think you got a really good mindset. I must say that, so far I've been talking to you. It feels so easy. I'm meeting you for the first time, but it's such a nice conversation. There's a nice flow, and you make people at ease.
It's actually funny you say that, because I'd consider my poker mindset to be on the worst side as far as like a professional goes. You get someone like Trilly, for example. His mindset is incredible. He can lose money for 6 months and just kind of smile through it all because he understands how the game works. But I went on this very long downswing this year where I probably lost for 10 months straight, and I wasn't loving it at all. My friends say I'm a bit petulant. I like to sook, and that's certainly true. So I'm certainly not the best when it comes to mindset, but like with everything else in life, if I feel like I'm improving on it, what more can I ask? And for sure, my mindset's better than it was maybe 2-3 years ago. So, hopefully 3 years ago, I can laugh about how bad my mindset was now.
See, mindset is like a muscle in a body.
Absolutely.
With time, it develops and it sharpens and it strengthens with
sure.
time. All right, my last question to you. Finish this line. Poker taught me
variance. There's a lot of ups and downs in life. There's a lot of ups and downs in poker. Yeah, just understanding variance, understanding that sometimes you can do everything right and the result still goes bad. And if you can just keep turning up and doing the right thing, eventually things will turn.
No, I couldn't agree more. I always say, if there's night, then there's going to be a morning, and there's a morning, there's going to be a night. Nothing stays same forever. There's always a change.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
Change is a universal truth. I love that, man. It was such a nice, conversation. So many different experiences, and it's so great to understand about your backstory, about your journey, and what you're doing right now, and what you're planning in the future. We're gonna finish this interview. We're gonna ask you some quick, rapid-fire question. This is my favorite segment. So we're gonna have a quick, discussion. I'll ask you a couple of questions. So I want you to answer whatever comes to your mind straight away. So I don't want you to think about it. Whatever comes to your mind, just say it.
This could be a dangerous game for you. We'll see how it goes. I look forward to it.
So I'm going to use my notes for this. So let me know when you're ready.
Let's do it. Let's go now.
Alrighty. Your favorite hand apart from pocket aces?
Jack 9 suited.
Toughest opponent you have faced in Australia?
Crilly.
One player you don't want on your left?
Higo or Siba.
I don't know. All right. Guys, if you know who that is, put in the comment section.
He won the APL Million main for 700K. He's probably the most aggressive player I know, to the point where it's sometimes too much, but he's very good at the game. I do not like playing him.
All right, fair enough. Aggressive bluff or hero fold? What
Bluff.
feels better?
Bluff. Every day.
What's the biggest mistake amateurs make at the table?
Scared. Being scared money.
If you could ban one poker cliche forever, what would it be?
People tanking. Too much.
One thing you always look for in a player's body language?
I don't know. Pretending to be confident. Like, look, body language changing very quickly. People tensing up.
Fair enough.
That was quick, wasn't it? Nice rapid fire questions here.
That's all right. We can take our time in between too. Alrighty, let's get back to it. Deep run or quick bust out with a story? Which one feels more fun?
Deep run.
Coffee, energy drink, or meditation before a tournament?
Coffee.
Gym session or Netflix to unwind?
Netflix.
Netflix. One known poker habit that makes you sharper.
Study.
Okay. One quote or mantra you live by.
Life is shit. And then to deal with it.
First part was like, oh, right.
Yeah. If it ended there, yeah, very, very negative.
If poker doesn't exist, what would you be doing?
Corporate consulting.
What's more important, logic or intuition?
Logic.
What's your guilty pleasure outside poker?
Netflix.
Who's your poker celebrity crush?
Celebrity crush. I mean, can I say a dude? Phil Ivey?
Yeah, Phil
Yeah,
Ivey.
yeah.
Okay.
Phil Ivey, hit me up, man.
Okay, Phil Ivey. Yeah. All right. Favorite poker movie or TV show?
The Big Game, the one that PokerStars runs. It's where they give a recreational 100K to buy in and let him play for however many hands or let him or her and see how they go. Always fun to watch.
First thing you would buy if you won $1 million tomorrow?
A house. Another one.
What's one thing people would be surprised to know about you?
That I used to be a consultant. I don't think you'd know that playing me at a poker table.
Okay. Who's the most underrated player on the Aussie circuit right now?
Underrated. Yeah, Aman is super underrated. Maybe
If you're looking for action, I'm selling some.
maybe a Sydney guy named Johan. He's had some really good scores this year, but I think he's a really, really good player. I don't think he always gets credit for being a good player from people outside of Sydney.
Is it part of the guy with the yellow hat?
No, not part of that crew. He's more of a cash guy that's moved into tournaments, but I really like the way he thinks about poker.
Alrighty. Last question. In one word, what does poker mean to you?
Controlled chaos, but a game where you can continue plugging away and always find a way to improve.
Great answers, mate. Love your answers. Phil Ivey.
Well,
That was surprising.
I mean, I'm an engaged man. I can't say a woman, can I?
He is so scary, at the tables.
Yeah.
And I think it's a deliberate strategy which he employs.
Absolutely, it is. I want to be scary as well. I want someone to look at me and be like, all right.
I thought you were going to say the woman who sort of reached the final table in the WSOP.
Oh, Leo Margetts or something?
No,
I think,
the husband wife both plays. I forget the name. Alex.
yeah, Kristen Foxen.
Yeah, Foxen.
Yeah, that's the one.
Foxen.
Yeah,
Foxen family. Yeah.
She's pretty good at poker too.
Yeah, and a couple of European plays as well. But anyway, you took the safe road.
Yeah.
And just mentioning Phil Ivey.
Yeah.
So
I'm not getting in trouble at home.
So guys, you have to decide: is Tani afraid of his girlfriend and telling us a lie, or he genuinely loves Phil Ivey? Write down in the comment section.
It's both.
Thank you, Nath. Thanks a lot for coming in.
Thank you so much for having
sharing
me.
your story with us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been great to be on here. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you. So this was the podcast with Nathanial today. What a great guy. He built his building blocks so that he can create the foundation of his life upon it. He's been crushing the poker world, winning some, losing some, but overall, really a grinder, a hustler. There's something to learn from him, learn from his experiences, and incorporate into your own game. I always say, the quickest way to learn is by observation and from other people's experience, and decrease your learning curve and become a professional yourself. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Again, I would ask you, if you haven't subscribed to us, please do so. It will take only 1 second of your time, but for us, it's very important. I'll see you next time. Till then, take care of yourself and stay healthy.